If you're listening to this episode right now, there's a reason for it. And you may not even know it yet. There's only one thing I want to say to you. Just let go. Just let it go. Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we're going to incorporate a lot of different things. Today, we're going to incorporate some higher level mindset type of stuff, which we don't stray from here in this podcast, as you may or may not know. If you're a listener, you probably do know that. So we're going to talk kind of like high level, high concept type of stuff, but we're also going to talk tactical. And today what we're talking about is letting go in order to grow. And in order to grow a business, there's 4 areas that I believe in that you need to let go in order to grow. And these same concepts will apply to just life in general. And, I think these areas will also apply to your employees. In fact, Matt and I were just having a conversation today about when he first came on versus where we are today. And he didn't even know what this podcast was going to be about today. And he talked about how he's experienced so much growth in his role. And a lot of that has been letting go. And a lot of the times we have a lot of expectations. And I believe that attachment and expectations are a lot of the reasons why we have suffering inside of our life. Like we have an expectation of how things should look or how things should go, or we have a certain type of attachment to something. And if it doesn't pan out that way, it doesn't work out that way, or there's a way that we like seeing things, a certain way we like seeing things happen, and it doesn't go that way, well, then we freak out, right? It's like the uncomfortableness, it's the unknown, and the human mind just wants to keep us in the known. And I believe to my core that if you want a successful business, whether you're an online business, an offline business, you need to understand the art of letting go, but you also have to focus on letting go in these 4 areas. Now, these are 4 areas. Again, everything that I teach and everything that I talk about comes from the knowing. And these are 4 areas that I'm going to speak to you about that come from my knowing. There may be more than these 4, but these are the 4 that I believe that you absolutely need to let go of in order to grow and be happy. So let's start with area number 1. And this one's going to be obvious, and this is team. Now, there's 2 areas with team that I feel like you need to let go of. Number 1, the number 1 thing, and this probably isn't new to any of you, the number 1 reason why people don't grow as a business owner, that your business doesn't grow, is because you try to control everything. Everything has to go through you. You can't let go of a certain task. You can't let go of a certain standard. You can't let go of the way things are done. One of the best things I've done is gotten our business to a point, pretty much almost to the point where my only role is either like creating content, podcast topics, and very high level decisions. I don't really make a lot of the lower level decisions anymore. We have built out the team where the responsibility of team members is creating a system and process within your department. It's improving that department. It's your responsibility, not mine. And this will take time, but even if you have a part-time virtual assistant, it really would do you well to look at that and go, how much of their role am I controlling? How many mistakes or corrections am I sending in? And are all of these necessary? Will all of these things actually make a difference inside of the experience our audience has? Will our audience even know? Like, if a video comes back and there's one thing and it has maybe the wrong font in it, and you want to spend 10 minutes out of your day to write an email to your video editor to get that fixed, and it's something that your audience wouldn't even have known, you just wasted 10 minutes of your energy and time, but you also probably wasted about 30 minutes of your employee's time. 30 minutes they could have spent on making you a new graphic or a different video or 2 pieces of content or splitting something up into 2 different clips. You could have gotten more content out of it. And by not letting go of tasks and departments and certain things within your company, not only do you stop the growth, but you stop the evolvement of your company, which I guess are really the same thing. But you stop the, let me think of a better way to say this. Yes, you stop the growth, but you also stop the creativity. That's what I'm trying to say. Because when someone is just sitting there trying to do a checklist all the time, like I'm going to do this checklist so that Brandon doesn't get mad at me. Well, what starts to happen is they start to follow a checklist versus being the creative who can kind of test new ideas, explore new ideas. They have more time and freedom. And you start to see and you start to realize that people can actually do things better than you. And it doesn't matter what level you're at inside of your business. If you have one person, even being a contractor, this idea of letting go can actually help you grow your freaking business. Now, this is probably the most obvious. And you guys might be sitting there going, Brandon, okay, we get it. We know that we need to let go. We can have our team do more things. But one thing you may not have realized, and this actually hit me today, is your team also needs to learn how to let go. I think this art of letting go is a skill set of a leader. And I witnessed that today with Matt. When I sat down and outlined this entire episode and then had a conversation with Matt, and we just happened to talk about letting go. But as I see Matt within the company being the person who is what's your official role, Matt? Chief Creative Officer? Creative Director. He's essentially responsible for all of our content within the company. And to watch him start to let go and more of lead that department has been amazing. And to hear him talk about today, the biggest thing that he's done to get to that point is actually let go. And what hit me today should have been obvious. It was right in front of me the whole time, was that by me letting go of more things, it's also setting the example of other people in the team to show them how to let go. It's very much like kids and raising kids. Your kids will model you. Your kids will model your behavior. They'll model the way you react. They'll model the way you move through life. And as a leader, the people that are with you, your team, they'll start to model things that you do. And it's a very freeing experience when you do that, because whether you know it or not, the more you hold on, it's like having a weight on your shoulder. And if you're going to hold on to 50 different things, even if they're 1 pound, over time, you're going to have 50 pounds on your back. It may seem like small things added up. And when you finally let go, it's like a weight off your shoulders. And you feel like you can finally breathe. And I know a lot of you listening right now started your business for freedom, time freedom, money freedom, spend more time with your family, do the things that you actually enjoy. And the business has become a trap for you. And a huge part of that is because you won't let go. The second side of that is also making sure that your team, especially the leaders within your team, also know how to let go. Okay. So number 1 is team. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time there. In fact, we're going to kind of wrap that up now because I feel like that's pretty obvious, right? Team, just go do it. Just start letting go. What are these things that you're holding on to that don't really move the needle or make a difference? Stop doing them. Just stop. Stop doing it today and just see what happens inside of your business. That's number 1. But number 2, the second thing that I want to talk about that we need to start letting go of are social standards. And one of the reasons why social standards are so important for us to let go as humans and as business owners is that from the day we were born, we have literally been told who to be, what to desire, what to think, what to do, what is normal. When you're born as a baby, you do not have an urge to wear the clothes that you wear today. You do not have an urge to have a mansion. You do not have the urge to have a really nice car. You just want food. You just want warmth. And then as we go through life, we are told through music videos and movies and media and parents and teachers and society. This is normal. Fit within this box. If you fit within this box, then you will be accepted. And we start to be told what to think, what to desire. And for a lot of us, money starts to become our master. Everything that we do is for money instead of happiness, internal freedom, being who we are, a lot of those types of things. And the thing is that you should really be asking yourself is, how often are you questioning the things that you think are normal? How often are you questioning your own thinking? Where did this thought come from? Where did this desire to want this mansion, to want to be a millionaire, where did it come from? And look, I'm not saying any of those things are wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong to want a house and to become a millionaire and to do all of that stuff. But are you doing it because you've been told that's what you should want? Or are you doing it because you want something internally that can bring you? For example, for me to be a millionaire, like I want to be a millionaire, like multiple millionaire. I've wanted that for a really long time. And I will admit, when I was a teenager, it was because I was told by society that these are the cool things. These are the nice things. You're living that high life, right? The fast cars and the big houses and all of that stuff. But what it's turned in today, because I've learned how to actually think for myself, is what it's turned in today is I want to be making a lot of money because I want to set up stuff where I don't have to worry about bills. I can spend more time with my family. I am not trapped in by money. It's ironic. I want to make more money, so I'm not trapped by money, is essentially. I want to have a very free life. I don't really care if I have mansions and fly in private jets and have all of that stuff. That's not important to me. And again, if you like that stuff, then you should go do it, as long as that desire comes from your own internal state, not because you've been told that that's what you should have. And society has basically told us and molded us what to think, what to do. And you really have to ask yourself, how often do you question your thinking? And this is why sitting in the silence is so important. This is why I literally talk about sitting in the silence so much. Now, the reason why sitting in the silence is so powerful, the reason why we have all of our students go through this exercise, is because as we live in this world, we start to get influenced by this world. We have human tendencies to want to be accepted. We have human tendencies to not want to get criticized, not be hated on, not be judged. It's just programmed inside of us. So we will mold to the norms of society, but molding to the norms will literally kill your business because you blend in with everyone else. So one of the ways to find your impactful messaging, because social standards can kill your messaging, is to sit in the silence. And what I mean by silence is to shut off your thinking mind and the external world. Shut it off. Live in silence. You can be in a very noisy area and be in silence. And what will start to happen is things will pop up. You start to remember who you are. This is what I really want. This is why I'm doing this thing. This is really my intention. My intention of making money isn't really for the private jet. It's really just to experience freedom and to be able to, like, for me, it's like having nice wine and nice dinners. I love that. So like that is one of the reasons why, one of my drivers for making money is to like be able to go to have nice dinners and wine. I just love that. I love the connection that it brings. But my intention behind it is connection. It's not just going to a really nice dinner and having a nice bottle of wine by myself. It's like, I love that stuff and I enjoy it, but I also love sharing it with someone because of the connection. My intention is based on the connection because that's who I am. I'm someone who likes that deeper connection, deeper conversation. And that all started because I started to question why I was thinking certain things, why I had desires for certain things. Now, again, this is really important for business, but it's also really important for life in general. I'm going to give you guys an example. I work out of the garage. I run a multi-million-dollar business out of my garage. Now, society would tell you, well, if you're working out of a garage, you're probably not very successful. You shouldn't be working out of a garage. You should be working in an office. Having employees come to your garage and work, that's a little weird. Oh my, can you imagine if I just didn't do that? Here's what would happen. If I didn't have the studio or podcast studio in my garage because I was worried about what my neighbors might think, or I was worried like what my friends would think or any of that other stuff, because society tells you shouldn't have a multi-million-dollar business out of a garage. You know what I'd be doing? I'd be paying $3,000 or more a month for a freaking office that no one even comes to anymore. I'd be paying $36,000 a year because of my fear of what society would think, of what the external world would think. I don't care about $36,000. I mean, I care about $36,000 more than the opinions of society. I'm not controlled by the opinions of society. And as a business owner, and even just as a person, how often are you controlled by society standards of what other people will think? And what is it costing you? Financially, what is it costing you? For me, it could have cost me $36,000 a year. Another thing, or even for happiness levels, how often are you walking around worried about what other people are thinking? You know, I watched my daughter Lily today put on an Ariel costume and wear whatever the heck she wanted because she hasn't been told what is normal and what's not normal. Society hasn't told her you can't wear costumes anymore. When you hit a certain age, you can't wear costumes anymore because then you're a freak or a weirdo, right? And she just rolled out completely happy, wearing exactly what she wanted, not giving an F about anyone and anything. And it made me wonder, like, what age is it going to be when the external world finally grabs a hold of her and she stops wearing that dress, those costumes? I don't know. But it's like, why can't we all just continue to live our lives that way? The same thing when starting my business. When I started my business, I was working out of the garage of this house that we had. And I couldn't afford rent. And I would think I was probably like 25, 26. A lot of my friends were getting married. They had careers. They were buying houses. And I was broke, living in a place with a roommate and in the process of getting married. I ended up getting married and we still had a roommate because I couldn't afford rent. And eventually the roommate ended up moving out and we couldn't afford rent on our own. And I had to move in with my in-laws. Society norms say someone in their late 20s should have a career. You should be out of your parents' house. You shouldn't be starting this business. This is risky. This is stupid. And it's like, what? Stupid based off of whose rules? Stupid based off of whose reality? I'm not living my life and my reality based off of someone else's or society rules. I don't want to go get a job. I'm not going to bend and mold my life to be completely unhappy because I'm trying to fit in a box that society created for me. And if I had done that, I wouldn't be here today telling you and helping you and mentoring all the people that we've mentored and helping as many people as we've helped. That would not have existed had I bent to society rules. And what is happening to you right now when you do that? How many people are not being helped, not being mentored, not getting your impact because you may be controlled by the box that society has created for you? That's a question that more people need to start asking. More people need to start asking where their thinking's coming from, where their decisions come from, and has that been something that society has created for you? I lived with my in-laws for 4 years. 4 years I lived with, my wife and I lived with her parents for 4 years while I grew a business. Society would tell you, you are a failure. In fact, I felt that. I felt some shame in that. But it got me to where I am today. It's part of my story now. Same thing with college. Another society standard is we need to go to college. Everyone needs to go to college. If you want to be successful, you need to go to college. And more people don't question that. That worked a while ago where anyone, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s, if you got a college degree, you could go get a really good job. But now it's a standard and you're coming out of debt. And I don't know the statistic, but I think it's like 70%. Go research it because this might be wrong, but it's like 70% of people get a degree. It might even be more. Get a degree. They don't even use their degree. They have $100,000 in debt. In fact, our neighbor's a vet. They were over here the other day. She told me that vets have one of the highest suicide rates out of any job out there because they literally leave college $350,000 in debt, and it takes them a lifetime to pay it off. I'm like, what? A lifetime to pay off your debt? That's crazy. And if you don't know what you want to do and you're shoved off to school and you come out $50,000 to $100,000 in debt, you're worse off than ever going to college. And look, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to college. Like, a lot of people will benefit from going to college. Doctors, lawyers, if you need to go to college, you know what you want to do. It requires a degree, go and do it. But if you don't want to go to college and you're only doing it because you think that's what success is, or your parents have told you to go do that, you might want to rethink how controlled you're being by society standards. And I've had to experience a lot of those things and kind of go against a lot of those grains. At a very young age, maybe it's because of who I am or how my parents raised me or whatever it was, I don't really know, but I've always kind of gone against the grain. I've always kind of not done what normal people would do. And I've always kind of not given an F. My brothers are a lot of the same way. I'm just not going to do that. I don't want to do that. So why would I need to do that? Now, one of the reasons why I bring this up, there's actually a couple reasons why. But I remember when we were so broke and all of my friends were in careers making 70 to 100,000, some of them even more. I was 20, I can't remember. I was maybe 25, 26, 27, somewhere in there, completely broke. We were married. We had a roommate living with us at the time because that's the only way we could afford rent, which, by the way, is another society norm. Once you're married, can't have a roommate anymore. Needs to be just you two. The heck says who? Anyways, my wife and I went to Macy's and we're walking around looking at furniture. We're kind of like doing this whole vision thing of what do we want? One day, what can we have? That whole thing. We're broke, trying to start the business. And we walked into Macy's, walked to the furniture place, department, and I see this amazing couch. And I look at this couch, and it was like the most beautiful couch I've ever seen. It was comfortable. It was massive. It had it was like a big L-shaped corner couch, and the corner it was like an oversized corner. So I remember telling her, we're going to have this couch one day. Then one day this couch will be ours. And I remember telling her, when we have a family, just imagine all of us like snuggled up under a bunch of blankets, watching a movie in this massive, massive couch. And she looks at me and says, don't promise me things that you can't do, or don't make me promises that you can't keep. And I was like, oh, I'm keeping this. Like, we will just watch. We are going to come back here and we will buy this freaking couch. Just watch me. And I actually talked to her about it last night. And I was like, why did you say that to me? And she goes, Brandon, you couldn't even buy us In-N-Out. She's like, I had to buy us In-N-Out. Maybe we weren't married at the time. I can't remember, because once we became married, our money was shared, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. So anyway, she says, you couldn't even buy me In-N-Out. That same day we had gone to In-N-Out, and you said, I don't have enough money to pay the $10 for In-N-Out. And then you're sending me going into Macy's the next day and saying, we're going to buy this $2,000 couch, which, by the way, $2,000 was life-changing money to us back then. And so I got to work, started building the business, living with the in-laws. And we finally moved out of our parents' house and started renting a house. Now we're renting the house. We still had we went and bought this couch off of Craigslist, and we'd had that for about a year. The couch broke down, and she's like, we need a couch. So you guys know what I did? Marched over to Macy's, found the couch, freaking bought the couch, and turns out it ended up costing around $3,000, because Macy's doesn't tell you there's a delivery fee. And then if you want to upgrade to like the service package and other things. So anyways, $3,000. But I remember that was the driver for me, was buying this couch. And I remember marching back in there and thinking, because I didn't listen to the society norms, because I didn't listen to what people told me was normal, because I stood for what I wanted to create, because I didn't care what my friends thought or what my friends said, or even what my family said to me and to my wife as we created this business. Things like, Brandon should go get a job. You need to give him a timeline. This doesn't make any sense. Why are you moving? We didn't listen to any of that. Marched back into a couple years later, back into Macy's, and I bought that $3,000 couch. In fact, it is the same couch that I still have today It is the same couch that we have in our house today. And it may seem stupid, but that couch means so much to me because 12 years ago, it was the thing that I couldn't have. And because I didn't listen to society standards, because I marched to the beat of my own drum, because I went against the grain, I knew what I wanted to do. I was very clear on who I was and what I wanted to do and what I wanted to create. I was able to go and get that couch. Now, here's why this is so important before we move on to the next phase. One of the reasons why this is so important, because if you are being controlled by society or social standards in your life, just in your life in general, I can almost guarantee you with 100% accuracy, you're doing the same thing inside of your business without even realizing it. If you're in the online space, there are a lot of online standards, especially right now, that are going on and flying around that are controlling a lot of people. And when that starts to happen, your message is not yours. Your marketing is not yours. Your offers are not yours. What you're doing in your business is not always going to be yours. And you start to blend in. So, and that's going to move me to the next part of this, is asking yourself how much of this is reflective inside of your business and marketing. For example, if you're using webinars to launch, why are you using webinars? Why? Like, do you have a reason other than someone over here told me to do it? Seriously, think about that for a second. Are you only doing webinars because some guru told you at some point that you need to do webinars? That's an industry standard. Go do a webinar. Are you doing it because you heard someone else talk about challenges or video series or whatever? Look, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with kind of modeling a strategy or something that works for other people. But what's stopping you from critically thinking of a new way to launch? What's stopping you from critically thinking about how to add something into the typical webinar that might make it convert better? Instead of following someone's framework to a T, why can't you be creative and be unique? And a problem with a lot of courses out there today is it's a lot of really what I call masculine energy, which is here's the strategy, follow this step by step, and they don't leave room for the individual person going through it, which is like that feminine energy. It's the individual, it's the creativity. And I think a lot of people need to critically think about how they're marketing their business, what to do differently, and how to succeed. And the people that always succeed are the ones doing things differently. They're talking and communicating differently. They have different spins on strategies. For example, I believe Jeff Walker was the person who created a video series style launch. That literally didn't exist before he created it, I believe. And then he introduced the video series into the online marketing space, and he completely set up a new standard. The person who created the hero's journey, that hero's journey didn't exist before he created it. He thought differently, he was unique, and boom, hero's journey is now a standard in how you write a script or tell a story. Thought reversals didn't exist until we created it. And I personally know of people who teach thought reversals in their courses and their programs. They literally teach my framework in their courses and programs. I'm the creator of it. And the only reason that happened is because I thought differently. I was able to critically think of a new solution. I didn't just follow what is everybody else doing. Let me regurgitate their information. Let me say the same thing as everyone else. Let me just blend in. And that's the biggest problem. And again, just to be clear, I'm not saying you shouldn't do webinars. I'm not saying you shouldn't do video series. I'm not saying you shouldn't do challenges. I'm not saying you shouldn't follow someone else's lead or find a mentor that can guide you. But what I'm saying is you should question those things. Is this really best for my personality type? Is a webinar live best for my personality type? Am I going to thrive with that? Or should I do an evergreen? Or maybe I should do a video series that's all pre-recorded because that fits my personality better. People will experience me better versus just blindly following people. Start to question things. Think critically of a better way, a newer way when it comes to strategy. Strategy alone is not going to be your savior. You need that individuality. Another example is, and Matt and Jackie, I don't know if Jackie even listens to our podcast. podcast, but if she is, Matt Jackie will get this. One of the things that we see right now is people dancing in reels, like dancing around and pointing and all of that stuff. And what happens if we don't question things, we don't critically think for things, critically think about things, what starts to happen is we just start to blindly follow. And although that is a great way to get engagement, follow the trends and content, if it doesn't sit well with you, then you shouldn't be doing it. We don't just blindly follow something because it's popular. Maybe your personality or your energy type isn't someone that dances around. And maybe the reason why people are successful with dancing and TikToks and stuff like that is because that fits their personality and their energy better. Like, for example, can you imagine Simon Sinek dancing around inside of, a reel? No. Does it mean we shouldn't do that? No. Does it mean we can do that? Yes. But it just means question things before just blindly following it. And look, I know this episode's about letting go, so I'm going to bring this back to letting go. But what I'm talking about is letting go of marketing strategies because they're popular, letting go of doing things just because people told you to do it, letting go of trends that are popular if it doesn't sit well with you, letting go of this idea that we need to fit inside of a box. That's what I'm talking about when we say letting go. And same thing with the social standards, letting go of these things that we think are normal, letting go of this idea of what we've been told is normal, letting go of this thing that has become our identity because we've been experiencing the world and the world has told us this is what you need to do. Waking up to the fact you don't need to do that and just letting it go. Waking up, like for me, waking up to the fact that I didn't need to go to college and just let go of this idea that I don't need to go to college anymore. Waking up to the fact that I don't need to be married and just living with my wife. I can let go of that and bring on a roommate. And you know what? It made me a lot happier because it helped us out a lot financially. And the big problem with a lot of people experiencing lack of growth inside their business and happiness in their life is because of their inability to let go of these social and industry standards that we've adapted as our own. And going back to the whole marketing thing, one of the reasons why this is really important when it comes to marketing, messaging, and communication, especially today, is because there's so many people hopping on to the online business and course and program-based business that it's becoming harder and harder to stand out. And what happens is a lot of people will go and they'll do things to grab attention, but then they can't convert them into buyers. We need to be able to let go of certain philosophies and find things that work for us, but find a unique way to position ourselves and be able to create demand. And the way I like to describe the online space is that 5-10 years ago, you could create a course and that would be the equivalent of you walking through Costco and someone offering you a free sample of like chicken or something, right? Free sample of chicken. You taste it, it tastes good. Oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to go buy it, right? And when we're an expert-based business, so we're teaching yoga, helping moms after birth, helping people lose weight, helping people run faster, whatever it is, when you're an expert in that space and there aren't any competitors, you're one of few, you're that stand in Costco, you're the only stand in Costco giving out chicken. Therefore, you make the sales, right? But the course business is a little bit different now. The course business is the equivalent of you walking through Costco and there's now 10 or 20 stands selling chicken and you walk through all 10 or 20 of them tasting chicken. Are you literally going to remember what each one tastes like? No. You'll remember the one that was different. You'll remember the one that was unique. And hopefully if they're different and unique in a good, positive way, because the flavor was so good, or it was more juicier than others, or it was a unique flavor that you never experienced before, you're 10 times more likely, and I'm making that up, but you're way more likely to go buy that one chicken. But because people can't think critically, because people can't let go of these things they thought were normal, they just keep regurgitating and saying the same thing as everyone else. Well, this person over here told me I need to do how-to educational content all day long, so I'm just going to keep on doing that and blending in. No. Think critically. Do things differently. let go of all these norms and question everything people tell you. Even question the things that I'm telling you. There might be advice that I give you that isn't relevant to you, because I teach from my knowing. I teach from my experience, and maybe it may not be the best advice, but question it. Because I'll tell you right now, there are people that succeed doing how-to content 100% of the time. There are people doing that. I just noticed that there's a lot of people doing that aren't successful. So if someone came in here and they had a multi-million-dollar business just doing tutorials all day long, the last thing I would want them to do is to follow my advice, because that's working for them. They should question what I'm saying and do what is right for them. That's called critically thinking. But if, I serve the people that do that and don't see the results. So let's just recap where we're at. We have one more area to kind of go into, but first one is the things we need to let go are tasks within our team. And then we need to teach our team to be able to let go as well. Number two, there's social standards that we've taken on as norms that you're not aware of, that are either controlling your business, controlling the actions that you need to take within your business that you're not taking, controls your happiness. And we need to let go of those norms, those standards, which can be very hard to do in order for us to grow and find happiness and internal peace and also growth in our business. And number two, from a marketing and business standpoint, we need to let go of those industry norms that are keeping us trapped. Number four, the last and final thing that I believe is vital for growing a business that you need to let go of are perspectives. And this is yours and others. Sometimes your perspective, is well, let's just put it this way. I'm telling you that there are perspectives that you hold that are keeping you trapped. There's also perspectives that you hold that are allowing you to grow. So I'm not telling you to let go of all of your perspectives, but if you have a perspective that is causing suffering in your life, it may be time to let it go. And I want you to ask yourself, how many things are you holding on in your life because you want to be right? You want to prove someone else wrong? You are focused more on everyone else around you versus yourself? And I'm going to give you guys an example here. And when I say let go of your perspectives, I mean letting go of the perspectives that are causing suffering that you hold, but also letting go of other people's perspectives that cause you internal grief. Like let's just think about it right now. Are there things that your spouse believes is there a perspective that your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, or a friend, is there a perspective that they have that you just can't wrap your head around? That you're just like, no, that is so wrong. Why are you doing that? And if that's true, if that's you, which I'm assuming would be most of you guys, probably have some of some perspective that someone close to you holds that you're just kind of like, I don't get it. If that is you, my question to you is, what are you missing out on because you can't let go of their perspective? This could be inside of business. This could be in your personal life. But is there something inside your industry that someone's doing that you can't let go of? And how much more peaceful and happy and stronger would you be as a business owner if you could just let go of their perspective? And what would happen if you identified a perspective that you held that's causing you suffering and you're just able to let go of it? I'm telling you guys a little story that happened to me this week of a beautiful thing that happened because a group of people was able to let go of someone else's perspective or their need to be right. So we went wine tasting this past weekend, my wife and two other couples, and they were friends. Their kids go to school with my son. So we know them pretty well, but not like super well. So it's kind of one of those like first times you really hang out as a group type of thing. We're just kind of getting to know each other. And the talk about vaccines came up. And I definitely had opposing views on the whole vaccine thing than two of the other. So there's six of us, three couples. So it's three wives and three husbands. I had opposing views to the husbands there on vaccines. And it doesn't matter who's on what side of the vaccine thing. That's not the point. Or, what my perspective on it is. None of that matters. And what had happened is it turned into not an argument, but it was a little bit of a debate. Well, have you considered this and have you done that? And it didn't get heated, but it definitely was like, okay, we are very strongly opposed on opposite sides here. And this is the beginning of the day with wine tasting. And what happened in that moment is I moved the conversation to something else. And in that moment, all three of us let go of the other person's perspective. What they said didn't bother me. It's everyone's choice to do whatever they want. Their perspective didn't bother me. I let go of it. And they did the same thing. My perspective on it, it didn't bother them. They let go of it. And we moved on and we had an amazing, amazing day. And we met a bunch of new friends and we had a great time. We had an amazing day. Now I'm going to go a little deeper with the story. So what had happened on that weekend is that, that was on a Saturday. On Friday or Thursday, we had to take my dog to the vet and we found out she had bone cancer. And then so over the weekend, we started to get worse and worse and worse. And then on Sunday, we realized that we had to put her down. My dog of 12 years. We've had her before we even had kids. We had her before we were even married. She's been through all of it. Her name's Hartley. She was literally with us before we started business while I was still working with my dad. She's been through all the same struggles that I had to go through, the moving in with the in-laws, the ups and the downs of working through the garage, us getting married, us having kids, me growing the business, us moving homes. She's been through it all. And we put her down on Monday. And I got a lot of support from a lot of people and a lot of friends, a lot of text messages, but I only got one phone call. And I'm not saying I needed a phone call. I didn't need a phone call from someone, but I'm just showing you that I only got one call from one person. And that call was from the guy that I went wine tasting with on Monday or Saturday, who I had an opposite opinion on or perspective on when it came to vaccines, to the point where the conversation definitely got pretty strong. We weren't mad, we weren't whatever, but we let go of those perspectives. And he called me on Tuesday and said, I am so sorry that you guys lost your dog. And I know how hard it is to lose anyone, but I want you to know that I'm there for you. And I want you to know that if you need to talk to anyone, I'm a phone call away. If you need to go get a beer, let's go get a beer. And I said, I appreciate that so much. And it's amazing to have friends like you, especially with guys. It's hard to let go and talk about emotions. I very much am so grateful for that. And I appreciate that. And this was because we were both able to let go of our perspective on a very hot topic inside of today's, society. And a lot of people can't do that. And had we not been able to do that, that love, that care, that compassion for another human being would have been completely lost. And I want to ask you right now, what is you holding on to? What you holding on to your perspective? What is that costing you? What is that costing you in love? What is that costing you in compassion? Not only how much compassion can you give for other people, but how much compassion are you not receiving from other people because you can't let go of your freaking perspective, or you can't let go of someone else's perspective to the point where it literally eats you up on the inside. And when that happens, what kind of business owner are you being? And not only how is it affecting you personally, but how is it affecting your business? Because I can tell you right now, had I held on to that perspective and been upset and bent out of shape that I disagreed with someone on something popular in the media, I would not have showed up on Monday or Tuesday this week as a strong business owner because it keeps eating me up on the inside. And if you can't do that and you let these things go on and on and on, over and over and over, adding up inside of your life, it's going to destroy your happiness. It's going to destroy your insides. It could destroy your health, but it could destroy your freaking business. And maybe the reason why you're not growing your business right now is because you keep holding on to other people's perspectives or holding on to yours. And I can tell you right now, one of the things that you need to let go of in order to grow your business and to be happy is your perspective in certain times and other people's perspective in other times. And I'm so grateful for that experience over the weekend. And I'm so grateful to have the passing of my dog be so profound. It was profound on a lot of different levels, but in this aspect, it was really profound to see another human being, another male, when typically males get into their masculine energy and they're not very compassionate, or it's difficult to talk about emotions, to see someone kind of butt heads on a certain topic, but then 2 days later, not even give a crap about that and do nothing but care for the other person. It was beautiful. And what I'm going to do and what I'm going to follow this up with is there's a couple things. Number one, if this episode helped you realize something, I really would love to know. And you can share it on your stories and tag us at IamBrandonLucero.com, or you can go into our Facebook group, the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast, and share it, or just send me a DM. But the second thing I want to do is I want to talk about, how do we become aware of this? How do we become aware that we're being controlled by perspective? Or how do we become aware that we're just following blindly a marketing strategy that may or may not work for us? Or how do we become aware of social standards? And the best thing is being present in the moment and living in gratitude. Let me talk about being in the present moment. Being in the present moment, like if you just walk out into nature, because there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise when we're running our business. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially if you're online and you're hearing all of this stuff, and maybe someone's trying to cancel you, or maybe you got a hater comment, or maybe there's a lot of people that are saying things online that go against your beliefs or whatever. If you're present in the moment and your phone's not there and you're just focusing on where you are in this moment and what you're doing, it's amazing how fast all of that gets very silent. Just go for a walk on the street and all of it gets very silent. And you start to realize none of it actually matters. None of it matters. And when you realize none of that stuff that's causing an internal harm or discomfort matters, it becomes a lot easier. It becomes a lot easier to become more powerful, to be happier, to be present. And being present is one of those things that makes you more mindful and conscious of all the things around you. It silences the external world. It allows you to critically think better. Like today's episode. I didn't come up with today's episode because I was scouring the internet. I came up with today's episode because I was present to the moment of creation. I was sitting in my backyard and I was completely present to the exact moment that I was going on, and I was sitting in silence. And then I created from that place. And that was today's episode. But the second thing is gratitude. And I think gratitude is often overlooked. Gratitude is one of the best things that I've incorporated into my life. And when I look back at those times when I was living with my in-laws, or I was broke and working out of the house and it was just my wife and I, and I couldn't even afford In-N-Out. You know what's really ironic, or not ironic, but weird, is that when I look back in those moments, before I was successful, I looked back and you know what I experienced and what I saw? I saw pain. I saw suffering. I saw struggle. After incorporating gratitude into my life and recognizing there's always something to be grateful for, you know what happens when I look back at those moments? I look at all the things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I still had a roof over my head. I'm actually grateful for having a wife who was so supportive. I'm grateful for those moments that I got uninterrupted connection with my wife because we didn't have kids at the time. I'm grateful for doing it with my wife. I'm grateful for that experience of going into Macy's and like knowing one day I'm going to have this. It's really weird. When you have gratefulness in your present moment and you look back at times that you experienced that were hard, the way in which you see those moments completely shifts and changes. And I look back and I see all these things that I'm grateful for. And no matter what I'm going through in today's day and age, I'm always grateful for those things, even if they're tough. Like losing my dog was emotionally tough. But I look back and I'm so grateful for all the things that she brought to our family. It makes the passing of it a lot easier, a lot more joyful, because I live in gratefulness. And when we live in gratefulness, it's hard to also live in fear at the same time. So it's easier to let things go when we're grateful and present all the time. And with that said, I'm going to wrap up the episode here. Let me know what you guys think. If you have not left us a review on this podcast, I would be very grateful for that. So if you feel like this podcast has added value into your life, you enjoy listening to these episodes, I would be so grateful for a 5-star review over on iTunes. So head over, do that now, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.